Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, brothers and sisters. I am back again on my channel. It's been a while since I was active because I've been active elsewhere. Now we are planning to visit Latin America or Latin American countries, and we want to explore the situation there. It is the forgotten continent. Rightly so. Latin America, as far as the Muslims are concerned, is a forgotten continent. There are people who are very receptive to Islam. I was in Qatar for the World Cup. I saw that thousands upon thousands of Latin Americans with their families, were coming into the mosque and they were asking questions. We were giving dawah to them. They were very receptive. They were listening carefully. They were very respectful. They're not like other people in the world who will basically be bored or who will get tired of that discussion. They're very spiritual people. And we have forgotten them. Effectively, we have completely ignored them, and there is hardly any dawah taking place. There are very few noble brothers who are doing dawah in Latin America actively, and mashallah, they're getting great results. There are people who are interested. They want to know about Islam. They want to learn about Islam. Catholicism is old for them now. It is old. It's old news now. They want to move on. They know that there is some stigma attached to that history. There is some history to it. I have with me right now, you can see the Sheikh sitting next to me, mashallah. This is Sheikh Isa Garcia, who is originally from Argentina and currently residing in Colombia. He is a Sheikh who has qualified from Medina University, alhamdulillah, and he even translated the Quran into Latin American Spanish. You may be thinking, why am I saying Latin American Spanish? Because Latin American Spanish is quite different to Spanish spoken in Spain, European Spanish. It is quite different. So this is why the Sheikh specifically translated the Quran into Latin American Spanish, so that Latin Americans can appreciate the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that the language of the Quran is easily understood, or even the meaning of the Quran for that matter is easily understood by them. Sheikh Isa, welcome. I wanted to ask you, Sheikh, what drove you to translate the Quran into that particular language?
Well, when I became Muslim, I received a copy of the translation of the Quran, and that copy was translated by an Orientalist, and it was in a very archaic Spanish language that was speaking in Spain. So it was very difficult for me to understand, and because it was translated by an Orientalist, was not friendly to Muslims. So after a few weeks of being Muslim, I started making dawah to my family, and they will ask me a copy of the Quran.
SubhanAllah.
So I got to the conclusion that if I give them this copy of the Quran, I will make them away from Islam, not closer.
Right.
So after many years of experience in translation, after studying Arabic language and Sharia Islamiyah, I decided to go into translation.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And imagine the reward, Sheikh, because you simply made the word of Allah or the meaning of it available to potentially hundreds of thousands of people, possibly millions of people. Because I don't think is there another translation in Latin American Spanish, to your knowledge?
Yeah, mine is now like 10 years old, and there's a new one.
Okay, and that's specifically in Latin American Spanish?
Yes.
Okay, and who did that translation?
A sister from Latin America. I don't know exactly which country.
Okay, mashallah, subhanallah. So this shows that still a lot of work needs to be done. This is now, can you imagine the Sheikh, when he became a Muslim, he was giving dawah to his family and they were asking for translations of the Quran, and he couldn't find a good one. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this continent, and that's why, mashallah, the Sheikh is active in Colombia. You live in Colombia, Sheikh, right?
I live in Colombia, yes.
And you were telling me earlier about, how people are receptive to Islam. People, if you dawah correctly, people do listen.
Well, people are normally in Latin America are Christians. Some of them are Catholics, some of them are evangelicals, and many other denominations. But a big group of them, they identify themselves as Christians, believers, but they don't want to have any relation with the church.
Right.
So they are really open to when you want to have a discussion with them or
Subhanallah.
argument about the nature of God. They are really,
Is it because of the history, the brutality of the Spanish invasion or Spanish colonization of Latin America, or is it because they don't find the religion attractive anymore?
well, mostly has to be with the role of the church in the last 50 years.
Right.
Being part of the abuse of some governments
Right.
Against the people, and the abuse of young boys in the church. So the people
Okay.
they don't want to get
Right.
away from the church.
Okay. So finally, I mean, just to summarize, because I want to make this video very quick, I wanted to highlight the point that there is a lot of potential in Latin America. Would you agree, Sheikh?
I agree.
You agree also that it's a forgotten continent?
Well, if we compare the efforts done by the Muslims in places like Africa, Europe, States, or even
Southeast Asia. Yeah.
And Latin America is nothing.
SubhanAllah. So this is a real urgent situation where we have hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people who haven't yet received the message of Islam correctly. We need to take Islam to them. What they might know about Islam is negative. For example, they might watch the news or they might see a version of Islam that's not correct. So we need to actually reach out to them and do dawah in Latin American countries. And it's a huge continent. It's a huge continent with huge potential. And most importantly, people are open to Islam. So brothers and sisters, just wanted to bring this good news to you that we will be starting some work in Latin America, inshallah. IERA is already present in that continent, and we're gonna, inshallah, see what we can do. So keep us in du'as and keep Sheikh Isa in du'as, because mashallah he's done a great service to Islam and to the Quran. May Allah accept from him. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.